Mr. Sneaker Gears, my name is Levi, and today we have a performance comparison between the new high-end, top-of-the-line Under Armour basketball shoe, the Curry 7, and its closest counterpart, the New Balance Omn1s. Alright, so if you've been watching the channel, I do have the Dame 6 review coming out, and I got these at the same time with the Curry 7. Now, I also want to look at the Kyrie 6, all three very similar court feel-based shoes that have been out for 6-7 years with athletes that are obviously all guards. Now, I did want to compare all three, or at least two of them. I have the Dame 6 and the Curry 7, but they're just really different shoes, so it wouldn't be really fair to compare them. I may have a video coming out doing a direct comparison. You guys let me know. But for the price point at $140, this guy and the New Balance are the exact same price. And they're very comparable just because they both have elite levels of support. The support on this in just every imaginable facet, whether it's the stability, the containment, it's just high end. This is a really supportive shoe that is kind of taken up a notch. Same thing with the New Balance Omn1s. For Kawhi, when he had that nasty ankle injury years ago, that's something that has a lot of support. So these are a lot more comparable than your Dame 6, which I have, and obviously the Kyrie 6, that does a really good job. That's not a slouch, but that's not its main goal. So here you have two very highly supportive shoes. So if you're looking for a court feel based shoe with a lot of support, these are two options you want to consider. So as always on our channel, we start with the fit because that's the most important thing. So when we do reviews here, we always want to do things based on comparison. Saying how a shoe is by itself, to me, is kind of pointless. All the reviews that just talk about that shoe. But if you want to know how the Curry 7 fits, you can look at the Dame 5. These shoes are really similar, incredibly tight in the midfoot, so wasn't really able to enjoy them that much, at least personally for my foot. The Dame 5 runs a little bit longer. I don't know if you can barely tell there, but it's about a half size longer, and the Dame 5 did run long. The Curry 7, I don't think it runs long. It is kind of true to size, but at the same time, I have a 13. I have a video of here how it fits, and it's a little bit long on me, but because it's so narrow, I really couldn't do my 12.5, or definitely not do a 12. This is a 13 in both pairs. See if I can line it up, and you can see the Dame 5 is definitely a little bit longer there. So, but fitting wise, go true to size with this, even though most people had to go a half size down unless you had a wide foot like myself. This, I did a 13. If you're normally a 10, get your 10. You're going to be fine with this. But if you have narrow feet in any way, so the two aspects are going to kind of have some issues. This plastic guard coming up here is actually kind of a deterrent where it's not going to give it room to spread that much in the toe box. So if you have a wide toe box, maybe it'll work. If you have a wide midfoot, the way that this plastic here kind of sets it up on both sides, it just is really firm. Now, after about an hour and a half, 2 hours of play, it did break in, and I was able to get some play into it. But even 7 hours in, that's about it. It broke in, so it's not incredibly painful, but it's not something I really enjoyed. And it's a shame just because the rest of the shoe, there's some really good things going on. But if you have a wide foot, you're just not going to be able to play in these. It just doesn't work. So if you enjoy the Dame 5, you like that lateral containment, because that plastic piece is the same thing that makes it super rigid and difficult for a wide midfoot, also gives it a ton of lateral containment, as well as giving it a really nice solid lockdown. Now, one thing I don't like, if you have a high instep or if you have a tall toe box, that stitching right here, there's almost no break-in. That stays put. So if this is not tall enough for you for any reason, you're gonna have some issues. I was just able to get my foot in here just because of my instep. It was okay, but coming down here, it did feel a little bit snug, and it was fine for me. But if I were to go down again, any even half size, it just would not have worked. So again, if you have a taller instep or a high toe box, Again, this is probably not going to be the shoe for you. Same thing if you have flat feet. The way this is so narrow, usually if you have flatter feet, again, it's going to create a wider foot base. So this is really eliminating a lot of the people who potentially could enjoy the shoe and all it offers. But as far as the fit, the one thing I just really do not like about it is how restricting it is for a lot of players. So how does that compare with the Omn1s? Or the Omn1. I like calling it that, guys. I know you can correct me. It's cool to call it the Omn1s, but what do they call the second version? The Omn1s 2? No, it's the Omni 2. Come on. Anyway, this I was able to get in my true size, a 12 wide. Think about that. New Balance is the only manufacturer making a wide specific last for a basketball shoe. This is one of my best fitting shoes, period. It is amazing. Lengthwise, I have just enough space here in the toe box where someone could say, hey, why don't you get an 11.5, because it would be right up on my toe there, which I could still do if it's a wide, but the 12 just fits so comfortably. Having the width just allows me to torque it down a little bit more because I have that space in the bottom, so I just get a nicer lockdown than I did on the 13 that I had, which I did sell. So getting the right fit makes all the difference. Now with this, I would generally say go down half a size if you have a normal foot. If you have a wide foot, you probably have to go up half a size, or if you can find it on launch day, get a wide. Now, as of right now, I believe the wide is only available on newbalance.com. I don't know if they're selling it to any other retailers. Get the wide if you can. They usually don't sell out for the first few minutes, so if you go on launch day and log in right when they release, you're going to have enough time to get the pair that you want. If you try to come an hour later or that evening, generally have been selling out. All right, working our way down to the support and containment. So both of these are going to have a lot of similarities. They both have a very flat, wide base. You can kind of see this outrigger that is just perfectly added, so you feel really well contained. Any lateral movements, jab steps, you are held in. The rear of the shoe, all of this is very stiff. So it does have a specific heel cup kind of coming right along that line here, so you can see it or feel it kind of right here. So it's not a huge heel cup, but it definitely holds you in. You don't feel like your foot is going anywhere, even if you have a low top. I know a lot of people, if you want to try low top, or you have some ankle injuries, or if you're an ankle brace, as long as you have a narrow foot, this is definitely something that's going to work because you just feel so locked in. The way the materials pull you down into the shoe, it really locks you in. Now this is a very similar setup to what Under Armour did with their 303, which is kind of the takedown version, and honestly this is just done a little bit better just because it has more materials, so you feel better laterally contained. Also, this is a little bit wider last, so you feel a little bit more balanced. And then lastly, you do have this kind of shank plate that's also kind of a spring plate going throughout the shoe, acts like a spoiler, looks like it's going to give you some next generation and propulsion, and it does to a degree. There is a little bit of push off, which is nice, but after playing in like the Jordan 34 Eclipse, it just doesn't hold a candle, but it does give the shoe the rigidity it needs to protect your arch area and not have your foot over flex. Overall, really nice containment, nice fit as far as the lockdown, as well as the stability and the support are just in spades. All right, so take everything I just said and take it up a notch. That's the New Balance. So this, again, has a naturally built-in wider area right here. It comes out of the whole shoe, kind of flares out, so very wide base, just as flat. The heel cup on this is just super stiff. It's actually coming up all the way past where kind of this leather is. Then on top, again, this is not a low top, so this is something that is just, let's see if I can get it here. This is just an add-on. You can't really take it off, but this is just an additional piece on the shoe that really makes you feel locked in, where it's almost like it has its own built-in ankle brace. Now, this strap, a lot of people are, let's see if we can see it here, and it's white on white, so obviously it's not as apparent. It's loose. A lot of people don't feel it does much for them. As a wide footer with a high instep, I feel it, but in a good way. This is more proprioceptic, or sector, hopefully I'm saying that right, where you just feel it there. It helps with the containment, and the materials on this are just this nice thick woven upper, so it just feels really high quality. When you torque it down, you still have some shiftingness in here as it breaks in, where you now tie it tighter and tighter, but once you're able to get that broken in and that fit dialed into exactly how your foot shape works, your foot's not really going anywhere. This thing is absolutely fantastic. You do have a built-in shank plate, which I think is that black thing kind of built in here, but you don't really have too much flex. There's a lot of torsional rigidity there. This is just a superb shoe for having a lot of support. The containment, making sure you get the right fit. I know Nightwing first got his, he wasn't able to enjoy it, so he went a half size down, but this is something, especially as a wide footer, I loved. All right, something I love about the Under Armour lineup with Curry and its 7th generation is they do something different almost every year. They try to at least be innovative. So I have a lot of high hopes where I'm hoping that innovation leads to something great. The first one launched Anafoam, which is incredible. It molded to your foot, and I wish they used it again. They re-brought Anafoam back out with a combination of knit for the Curry 5. The Curry 2 was the first basketball shoe to have speed form, which the whole shoe is made with just one piece. That didn't quite fit me, but again, I appreciate it, and I know a lot of ballers out there think the Curry 2 is the best shoe just because it gave them a really unique fit and had crazy traction. The Curry 3, for the 3, he added Anafoam back in, and then also added Redborn, which is kind of their high tensile fabric in there that they used in other aspects of the lineup. Moving on to the 4, obviously that was one of people's favorite with the full knit. The 6 took the knit to a next level, which I loved. And then we have the 7. And I know I've been talking about more of the upper innovation because the Curry line has pretty much used charge cushioning throughout, switched to hover for the 6, and now added a micro G with hover combo and completely took away any innovation on the upper. This material sucks. Let me get it out there. For $140, you're not going to be pleased with what this gives you. This is the upper. This 4-foot mesh feels like what we got in the Kyrie 1. That was like 110. The fuse overlays just feel cheap and plasticky. And same thing, it just feels like a very budget shoe. I actually like the 303 upper a lot better, although this does have its performance advantages. All right, so down to the cushion. I know I talked about all that innovation. I was hoping for a lot. Hopefully they can make the hover a little bit softer than it was on the Curry 6. Then the Micro G is going to be obviously a bit more firm, but have that impact protection. Maybe have a nice blend. And what it feels like is every other Under Armour shoe they have. It's such a letdown. Now, we're talking about various degrees. The Anatomics just had Micro G along with the 303, both of which are just barely passable, but I love using this with our Velocity Raptor insoles. The traction on this, and we'll get to that in a point, the way this fits is something I really enjoy. And if you have an Under Armour shoe, our Velocity Raptor insoles work amazing and really give it a high cushion effect. So that's something you might want to add in. Now, wearing these back to back, this did feel slightly softer. I'll give it edge. I mean, and again, we're talking about literally single digit percentage wise. I would love to hear what the durometer is on this, and that's kind of a running term talking about the softness or firmness of the rubber compounds used. But this feels ever so slightly softer, but I got a firmer feel from this, but I still feel like I had better impact protection on landings, on just hard sprints. This just absorbed the impact slightly better. And how I determined that is just the shock. What kind of shock am I getting up my body, up my knees, my back? And I was still getting a little bit of shock on this. Now, this is better than straight Micro G, which I hope it is. But again, we're talking about degrees here, and I'm a little bit heavier, so a lot of the you guys out there who are in the 100-pound range, I'm about 240, you're going to like Micro G. You're going to be just fine. And the performance advantages that you're going to get from the Curry 7 it's nominal. It's not much. So you're spending an elite price, $140, for something that could have been really cool, and it's just not. So how does all that compare to the fuel cell cushioning in the New Balance? So let's just put it this way. Last night I actually had a 3-hour run, and the only shoe, and I brought most of these, you guys. Check out our Instagram. You can follow us. This was the shoe I kept putting back on. This is the one I trusted the most. Now, these are all court feel based, so my knees are definitely feeling it just because I should have put our Velocity insoles in there. But I want to be honest to you guys. I want to make sure I'm testing the shoes for what it is. If it's my personal pair, I'm just enjoying it. I'm using our Raptor insoles because they just make a huge difference. But the feel sole cushioning on this, it's just soft enough, and it's not soft. This is definitely a court feel based shoe, but it's giving you just a little bit of bounce. It still feels firm. It's just a really great execution of a court feel based shoe where you feel quick, you feel closer to the court, it's not too heavy, but it's still providing that impact protection on hard landings. You know, you're not getting any kind of shock through your body. So no matter how much you weigh, no matter how much force you're developing, no matter how powerful you are, this has been a great shoe. Now, again, it's court feel based. If you buy it, don't feel you're going to get this amazing cushioning setup. Just, you know, it's not bouncy, it's not super soft, but it is quick and it does everything really well. And finally, traction. I don't really need to grab any of the shoes just because the traction is boss, like flat out. I can't really tell you which one is better. These guys, which I had to wipe them for the first time last night since I've owned them, to give you an idea, or the Curry 7s, which in 7 hours of play I still haven't wiped. The traction is amazing. The Curry 6 bit just as hard, but I did have to wipe that every so often. So still really good, but they surpassed it. You have a more durable traction. It's really nice. The pattern, which looks just like the Trailblazers logo, it just works. It's this thick rubber, deep grooves, and I can't really say much better things about it. It's firm enough. You should be able to use it outdoor for at least a decent amount of time. It's great, but so is most of the Under Armour lineup. The 303 used the straight herringbone traction pattern that was almost as good. This is maybe a little better. The Anatomics I have right here uses a really aggressive pattern that when I first got it, I would say might be better. Now it's worn down a little bit since I've used it a lot. The Anatomics 2 coming out looks super aggressive. Under Armour does traction really well. That's not a negative, that's not a positive, it's just they do it well on all their shoes. If you find one that fits you, you can have great fit, you're going to have really good traction, and you're going to have a court feel based shoe. And unfortunately for the Curry 7, that's exactly what they did. Whatever Under Armour shoe you get is going to do the same thing, and unfortunately the Curry 7 didn't really take it up a notch. And I think my disappointment was just because I had higher hopes. I thought it was going to be better. For me, it does look pretty cool. I was going to give it the benefit of the doubt because the materials you don't really know till you get them in hand. And in hand, they're just as bad. So I thought they would be better, and you don't know how it looks. The same thing with the Curry 6. I thought that looked kind of cheap, and in hand, I just love the materials. I love how they work with your foot. But the Curry 7 as a whole, if we're comparing it to the Dame 6, is going to be much more durable. It's going to be a lot more firm, and it's going to give you way more support. So I feel they're just very different shoes. So we can still compare those. Let me know if you guys want a direct comparison for that. I have the Kyrie 6s on their way because I tried them on in store, and I was just super impressed. So I'll be able to give you guys a full head-to-head. But as far as the Curry 7 on today's video with the New Balance Omn1 or Omn1s, it's not even close. At least for me, it's the Omn1s all day. Traction is about equal. Cushion is way better on this. Materials, craftsmanship are way better on this. Support gets a leg up just slightly. And for me, the fit is just way better. That doesn't mean it's going to be the best fit for you, because the Curry 7, if you have a narrow foot or if you have a low instep, that's something that you might enjoy, that really nice, tight, locked-in fit. So that is the most important aspect. So still, go ahead and try those on. If you haven't tried on the Omn1s, or you're on the border whether you should or you shouldn't get it, or you're thinking about it, I definitely can give it high praise if you're looking for a court feel based shoe. Guys, girls, thank you for watching. Hopefully you like this video. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below. You can hit the bell to see any new videos that are coming out. We do have the top 5 cushion setup videos coming at you very shortly here, and a few other top 5s and best shoe of the year as we get towards the end of the year here. As always, really appreciate you guys. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I do try to get to everybody. Again, this is Levi Sneaker Ears. I really do appreciate you guys, and I'll come at you later.